And being a good commander, I just sat there and watched them come in and go out. It was never the same. In fact, if there were 2 visits a day, you might have 2 or 3 significant others for each person. I won't name the names of those particular crew members. On orbit, I think orbit operations were pretty standard. We had this defense support program that we launched immediately on our first day, but then we had an Army Chief Warrant Officer with us, Tom Henning, and his purpose was to determine whether he could look through the windows and look down at an area on the Earth to assess the situation, the battle situation, and report that to a military commander. Well, clearly that didn't work. And when we came home, I was asked to visit General Katina, who was the Air Force Space Command commander. And of course, I don't think I knew he knew it wasn't going to work, but he wanted to demonstrate to me that he had capabilities to see much finer than we could with our naked eye. And so he showed me a lot of that. And he said, well, in this particular case, the target was obscured and the satellite couldn't see what was on the ground. And I said, but sir, have you ever had a person in space look down and verify that you couldn't see it from space? And of course, he paused a moment and he smiled, and that was the end of that conversation. But that was the end of that program. Atlantis was an amazing bird. We came home. Tom Hendricks was my pilot. We were supposed to land at Kennedy, but because we'd lost an inertial measurement unit, an orbital IMU, we came home early and we went to Edwards. Joe Henry earlier showed you his approach to landing. I believe that was on 05. And if you note, there were several runways there right next to each other. Well, as we are turning to final, my pilot, Tom, said, Fred, do you know which one you're landing on? And I said, yeah. And a little bit further, he says, well, and I said, Tom, I know where I'm going, but you know, this is what you get when you have a rookie flying with you. It was a great time. I went back and talked to Atlantis about 3 weeks ago, and Atlantis asked me, he said, had you heard that it was going to make its last mission? And I said, well, I've heard rumors. Is it true? And he says, yes, because a couple of high guys told me that. And so I found out today that Atlantis is actually going to be stored at Kennedy after it lands in June, scheduled for the 28th of June. Last thing he said to me was, I certainly hope that this is not the last human flight that we make here in America. And I know you guys out there are going to make sure that that doesn't happen. Thank you.
Dan? Well, good afternoon. Anytime you talk about shuttles, the discussion comes back to people. And Endeavor was no different. It really got involved in the STEM program before the STEM program was the STEM program because there was a program to name the new orbiter coming out and given to the schools, elementary and high schools throughout the country. And it included not only providing a name or suggesting a name, but also a science project that would go with it. And that was really the determining factor on who won. 2 schools won. The name Endeavor came out. It was named after Captain Cook's ship that he sailed around the world starting in 1768. And so anyhow, kids got involved in the orbiter before it rolled out. It rolled out in May of '91. And it was gorgeous. It was pristine. All the tile were on it. A lot of you probably remember Columbia when it rolled out. Kind of looked like it had zits. But it was really gorgeous and a real testament to the people that put it together. Realizing that the people that put it together had probably worked on the other orbiters, but now there were no more, and they were going to be laid off. Was interesting, their attitude, because they got together, the workers, and had one heck of a party. Management wasn't invited. I guess I didn't qualify as management at that point in time because I was invited, and it was really great. They showed up in tuxedos and limos, in cowboy boots and Levi's, and just had one heck of a party. And they were proud of what they had done, and they were going to go out in style, and they did a really great job. STS-49 was the first flight. That was scheduled, and we launched in May of '92. The primary mission was to recover and repair Intelsat, and it would take more than 8 minutes 10 times to explain to you why we had to do that. And also, back then, space station was going to be built Tinker Toy style, so we had one EVA to capture and repair the satellite and 3 EVAs to develop procedures to build space station. The first rendezvous and attempt to capture the satellite, we had a bar that was designed, and all this stuff was designed on Earth in 1G, and it was supposed to work in 0G. The first time we tried to capture the satellite, we weren't successful. And on that first day, we did 3 tries before it was tumbling out of control. So we backed away from it, and we're feeling kind of bad. You figure you got a $180 million satellite and you got 7 people on the crew, you do the math, and it's a pretty good chunk of change. But about 30 minutes later, we got really good news because the ground crew had gotten the satellite back under control and meant we had another chance. Went back the second day, changed some of our processes. We learned a few things on the first day and tried again. This time we got 6 shots at it, and before it was out of control, and we couldn't capture it. Then the team, once again, the people, the crew and the ground team decided to take a day off and come up with a new plan. Going back to that last capture, those 6 tries, it goes back once again to the people that designed the vehicle, because that baby flew really great. The satellite was tumbling out of control, and I could fly in 6 degrees of freedom, staying aligned with it, so Pierre had a shot at capturing it. Truly amazing design and flight control system, and it worked really great. Anyhow, getting back to the people again. Now we had the crew and a team and Tiger teams on the ground trying to figure out in this day off, well, what the heck we're going to do on the next day. And we came up with this plan to send 3 people out to do an EVA and use the good old-fashioned hands to capture it. Once again, everybody concurred with that plan. It'd be a long story to tell you all the things we had to do to make it possible. I always told people if we planned to do it 2 years in advance that way, we'd have never gotten approval, but we did it in 1 day. And once again, shuttle flying up to it on that third day had 3 people stationed out there. Satellite had a bit of wobble on. Could fly it right up and just pause and wait for the wobble and time the wobble so it wobbled straight. And we moved up, and 3 guys grabbed it and put the bar on, got the motor on, launched it, and the satellite's still up there working great. We had 1 more EVA left and went out and did some of the mission for the ISS repair. Another thing on the orbiter, Brewster talked about, all the problems he had with computers and APUs and the like. Endeavour worked on its first flight perfect. I mean, we had essentially no problems, and it was really important because we were real busy trying to get the satellite. So if we had to mess with a bunch of computer problems or something, it would have been a bigger challenge. But once again, the people that built it did an outstanding job. Since then, Endeavour has gone on to fly many successful missions. And, once again, it's a true testament to the people that put it together, the people that maintain it, and the people that operate it day in and day out. It's a shame to see the shuttles coming to an end, but just as those people that had the party after Endeavour rolled out and were getting laid off, the people we work with on a day-to-day basis with only 2 missions left, their noses to the grindstone, they're determined to do a great job, and I really have to admire them because they've been a great team for many years, and when a lot of them leave, it's going to be a big loss to our space team around the country. Thank you.
Now at 5:15, these and 2 additional shuttle commanders will conduct a news briefing in the new Ares Education Auditorium. That's on the lower level of the Boeing Exhibit Center. So you go over there, take the elevator 1 flight down. Seating is limited, but all Symposium registrants are invited to sit in. Commanders, on behalf of our audience, I thank each of you for sharing your experiences today. We also extend our heartfelt appreciation for your service to this great nation and its space program. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it one more time for our all-star team of Space Shuttle Commanders.